Sometimes we forget why we're here. It's easy to fall off track. These help us remember.
These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Growing up, I had a dream, something no one else could see. Tell me what it means when your faith is falling beneath your knees and you can't breathe. Everything you see reminds you of what you're not or something you won't be. You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business. Not because they wanna do it, just because they heard it pays. And who the fuck wants to be poor knowing that's how we've been raised? Society is getting heavy, I can feel the weight. The pressure of success is like 100 million pounds of shame. And that's the reason I'm staying up late, trying to find a way to escape the stereotypes. This day and age is making me feel like the only way I'll be happy is getting signed to a label and making money through rapping. I wanna share my emotion because this world is attacking the very principle of life that lets the people be happy. If you don't have a reason to breathe, why even live? These battle scars are impressions of everything that it is. That lets the people be happy. If you don't have a reason to breathe, why even live?
They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
If I had a voice that reached 100 million people, I'd tell them there's a reason that we're all created equal. Cause some decide to be great and some decide a sequel to an average person's life is simply what they want to be. So you make your decision, all I know is what I'm given. Won't define the life I lead or the way I dwell in existence. I've seen a greater image on the walls of where I'm living, and the words twisted and scripted remind me of something written. Faith is a gift that is given down to the people. If one believes it, one receives it. It's given if it is needed. Don't ever think you're trapped in a life that you never wanted. Your options are infinite, that's some mathematical logic. I'm not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers and these battle scars on my church. Not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers, these battle scars on my church.
Scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These
Well, ooh. Okay, like I don't know. It seems like the screen, the set is so much bigger than me. Hold on one sec. I want to see if I can zoom in here. I know I always get like so distracted by this stuff. I know I'm terrible, terrible, terrible. Here we go. That's a little better, isn't it? I don't know. Is it? I look like I'm a tiny person to me. I don't know. It must be because I don't have my headgear on, because this fills up the screen, you know? That must be it. And I've got my hair back in a ponytail. So, I don't know. I just look like Tiny Head or something. I don't get it. All right. So today we're going to be covering some ballot access news. As you can see, along the bottom here is my Patreon. If you enjoy this work and this somewhat unusual content, I do believe I would appreciate it if you would become a patron. And there's the easy way to do that. And I would surely, surely appreciate it. Also, I figured out I'm a very bad YouTuber. You want to know why I'm a very bad YouTuber? Because I never ask you guys to subscribe. Yeah, I don't know why I don't. I just don't think about it. So, I'm trying to hit 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year. That's a very ambitious goal for the rate of growth that I've had. But we've got 3 months and we need 2,200. Ambitious. But do your part. Will you please share this video and ask other people to subscribe at the little subscribe-y thing, that's a technical term, below. Okay. Before we get to the ballot access stuff, and I'll warn you, I got this in the mail today. It's the most current issue of Ballot Access News, which I will tell you during the episode how you can get. I don't get any kind of kickback or anything from this. This is just a great newsletter by a friend of mine, Richard Winger. Thank you, Connor. Connor said he subscribed. I haven't read it yet. Normally, I read it and like digest it, so we save time on the show. I didn't have time to do that today, but I figured it was better to do the show rather than wait, because my time right now is so crazy busy. What have I spent the day doing? Some of you will be not happy and some of you will be very happy. I've spent the day writing my appeal for the Judicial Committee. My appeal will be submitted on Friday. So those of you who are hoping I would miss a deadline or decide not to appeal, not sorry. It's a lot of work, but we're almost done writing it. When I say we, I do have a team. And yeah, we're going through it again tomorrow, refining it, and Friday it will be submitted. What is the procedure from there? You know what? I'm going to do a whole show on that. We'll go over, because it's just interesting, and we'll go over maybe some other judicial committee actions in other states. I think I can make this educational, but we'll go over the National Libertarian Party's appellate rules of judicial procedure. And I'm not really going to go over my petition, because let my opponents do that, right? I mean, they'll be able to read it, but I don't want to analyze my own petition and give them grounds. The appeal will be publicly available. You do have to ask for it from the JC. So me, the petitioner, will submit it to the JC. The JC is the one who makes it publicly available. I'm a shameless grifter who doesn't ever ask people to subscribe. So yes, you will be able to get a copy of the appeal. I'll let you know when it's filed, and that way you can ask for it from the JC. I'm not going to be publishing my own, okay? When the JC, sometimes they'll create a special website for appeals. At least the California JC does this, and they list all of the documents that have been filed, because this is, I'm going to do a show on the process, but let me just give you a brief thing, because y'all are asking. I'll file a petition. Generally, the respondents will file a response. Then there might be some responses to responses type of thing, and there'll be a hearing date set. The hearing will be public. So any one of you can attend the hearing, but there will not be public comment, at least not usually. And I seriously doubt the JC will allow public comment. And I'm telling you guys right now, please do not write the JC with your opinion. Write them for copies of filings, but they are not a body to be lobbied like the LNC is. They are supposed to be above all of that. So please, please do not write the LNC, the JC, and lobby them. It's just not appropriate, and it won't make a difference, or at least it shouldn't, and it will just annoy them. Not that I think it would prejudice them against me. They might make them think you're just not very smart because, Ryan said, do you expect the JC will actually rule on this? I fear a pocket veto where they don't rule. Let me put this up on the screen. Yes, I do believe they will rule on it. However, our bylaws suck. Our bylaws say if the JC ignores a petition, the decision of the LNC is automatically affirmed. I think that's bass-ackwards, that it should be the other way around. But unfortunately, that is not what our bylaws say. Now, Tyler, I am not filing something regarding Whitney's seat, and I'll let you know why. I had originally planned to do that, but after conferring with my team, it turns out even if her vote was invalidated, it wouldn't make a difference, because that would lower the number that's the denominator. So it's a 2/3 vote of the entire LNC. Minus the person who's the subject of the suspension motion, so it's 17 minus 16. If her seat got invalidated, it would be 17 minus 2, which would be 15. And because that lowered it, they still would have enough votes because it's a lower denominator. So I am not going to be filing any motions regarding Whitney's seat, because it's not relevant now that we did the numbers should have did that before, regarding mine. However, members can still do this. Members could still do this if they so wished. But a correction to my prior show, it is not relevant to my appeal, unfortunately, like I thought it would be. One reason why that's unfortunate is A, I think it's a good argument, and B, I could file that just on my own rather than members having to go through the trouble of 10%. I think this is a decision that needs to be appealed. Even if you are happy with the result, there's no guarantee this is going to be fixed through bylaws, and I think there needs to be a ruling of the JC. That all being said, it won't be me because it doesn't make a difference. So I'm glad you asked that because I would have forgotten to remind everyone of that. So after the show tonight, I'm going back to working on my appeal. I'm going to be doing a lot of work on that. I really needed to order signs tonight for a protest for Saturday, but the appeal right now is, I've only got so many hours in the day, and thankfully for me, insomnia has gone away, and I have needed to sleep, which is a good thing. As you can tell, like, I don't look as haggard or sallow. It's because I've been sleeping. All right. Ballot access news. Generally, I say, let's see how they're bending us over this month. But last month, where it's actually good news in ballot access. Still got my big bottle of wine from the marathon, sangria. But today I have my Smirnoff. Alrighty, let's take a look at this. Let's see what's going on. And let me do my shameless grifting. Oh, just so you know. Actually, let me talk about this for a minute. Some more LP shit, right? Why not? I challenged my removal of my picture from the website. And I'll answer your question as well, Tyler. Because I am not, the seat isn't vacant. It's in limbo. And I don't think it's proper to remove me from the website because the seat is not vacant. I am filing an appeal, and I let the LNC know that. I think they could put a note by my name saying pending whatever, pending appellate review or something like that. But Whitney decided, as she has decided everything against me, listen, just by sheer value of odds, there's no way I've been wrong on the last 50 things, okay? Yeah, I'm going to do that in a future show. That's a good idea, Ryan. Maybe even tomorrow. I'll plan out some notes. But, you know, I know 50 is an exaggerating, but every single thing I've challenged Whitney on or asked a question on has gone against me. Okay, the odds just now don't bear out, okay? Because even if I was awful, a broken clock is right twice a day, and I've been right none of the time, that doesn't pass the sniff test. So, no, Whitney decided that it's perfectly appropriate to remove my picture from the website. It's fine. She's chair. That's her prerogative, and it's my prerogative to disagree. I don't even know how I got on that. Oh, because this was part of the email chain. I have 3 pending complaints with the National Party. They were made prior to my suspension. Our policy manual says that complaints are to be acknowledged and investigated promptly. I made these complaints, let me think, about a week ago. No, more than that. A week and a half ago. Still no acknowledgement. And there wasn't an acknowledgement while I was on the LNC. And that's highly improper. And the third one wasn't made to the party chair. It was made to the party vice chair and to our executive director, who did promptly acknowledge it. No, Tyler, that's not correct. I'm sorry, I just don't agree with you. I do not have a vote on the LNC. I am in suspended status. So I appreciate your support, but that's just not how it works. They just can't replace me because the seat's not vacant, but it is suspended. I know that's weird terminology, but it is what it is. I do not dispute that I do not have a vote on the LNC list. I do dispute that my access to the email should have been removed. Because what if I needed emails on the list to prepare my defense? And I might. The LNC is prejudicing my ability to prepare my defense, potentially. If I do need to get into my emails, I will make a formal request, and I expect it to be denied. But I dispute that my email access should have been removed, and I dispute that it should have been removed from the website. I do think they could have removed my posting privileges, and I certainly do not get to vote. And no, they will not have to redo all the votes that did not include me, because they weren't supposed to include me. You don't have to redo votes that properly excluded somebody. They've made it, Justin, since before I was suspended, that can't happen again, so they would have no worries even if I were the type to delete my emails, which I wouldn't do. Anyway. And thank you, Dave Davis, for the super chat. That is super, super. Thank you. Thank you. That's super nice. And thank you for your support for ballot access, which I will get to in 1 minute. Let me just, this is the last distraction. I want to talk about my 3 complaints. 2 of them are ethics complaints against other LNC members, which should have been acknowledged and investigating properly. Yeah, I'm talking about the secret list, Libertarian against lynching. Yeah, I am. I'm talking about that. Sorry, I didn't make that clear. And emails that were sent to me as secretary, personally, like from members. You know, ones that, because what's in the secretary email box isn't just the LNC emails. There's a lot of other emails. And there are people who have written me with things that have gone on that I might need their names. I know. Tyler says, how dare you call it a secret list? It was so funny when Richard, like, I will not entertain any motion you make if you ever, even in commentary, refer to it as a secret list. It's like, get over yourself. That's a long-standing tradition started by Star Child and the Transparency Caucus long before I was even. So, Taranticia, they cannot appoint a new secretary. They can appoint a secretary pro tem, which is what they need to do for this month. They can't appoint a new secretary until the time frame till either the time frame for my appeal to file appeal has run out and I have not filed one, which would be 7 days, or if I have filed one, which I will, till the appeal has run its course. So that will be, we'll look at the time frames. I think it's on average 30 days. All right, my complaints. The 2 ethics complaints which were made to the party chair and repeated again today to remind her I have not gotten a response. Tyler, I've not been asked to hand over any historical stuff because that has nothing, I'm assuming you mean like historical committee stuff. I'm still chair of the Historical Preservation Committee. The secretary role and the historical things are 2 completely different things, 2 completely different roles. So the 2 ethics complaints, the first one is that in the behind-the-scenes lobbying to try to flip votes for my suspension, LNC members illegitimately weaponized staff by saying, if you don't vote for this, 4 staff members are going to resign. I have reason to believe that's absolutely false about the fact of any staff members wanting to resign. But it's absolutely true that they said that to try to strong-arm LNC members into flipping their votes. That's completely and utterly inappropriate weaponizing of staff. Second, allegedly, this information about staff was leaked, supposedly, from the EPCC, which is a confidential committee that staff is supposed to be able to go to and know that things that they say will be kept confidential. This is a severe breach of ethics. I haven't yet been interviewed by Whitney, so I'm not going to tell you the facts I have to back this up. yet. 2, Laura Epke released a private email of me providing criticism of the fitness or the suitability of a certain volunteer to serve on a certain committee. This is a huge, huge deal. One, for reasons I can't disclose that has to do with confidential concerns raised with the LNC. However, one thing I can say is that it exposed that volunteer to public embarrassment and me to public ridicule for saying my fiduciary duty opinion. I complained about it immediately and asked for that email to be removed from the evidence folder and made viewable only to LNC members. This was a time-sensitive request, and the party chair ignored me. That is a severe ethics violation on both the part of the party chair, but primarily Ms. Epke. Third, this is the one that I reported to the vice chair and to the executive director, which have since been, they acknowledged it, but I now also reported it to the party chair, and that is evidence of one staff member involving themselves in internal party disputes. That happened last week, and then the same staff member publicly was mocking what happened to me. And I sent evidence of that. So those are my 3 pending complaints. It's gross. I know I use that word a lot. I'm using that instead of cuss words. But just so you know, those are going on. Very unclean hands behind my suspension. And at least one staff member, who I'm not going to name, behaving very, very inappropriately. Now, we're going to go on to ballot access. Tomorrow, I think I'll do some on just JCs in general. I think that'd be a great educational show. Sorry again that I didn't digest this first, so we'll do the best we can without making this boring. So the headline on this month, and this is the September Ballot Access News by Richard Winger, that you can get a copy of this for $18 a year. If you want to know how, just shoot me an email and I'll photograph this little part down here on the bottom for you so you can order it. Title is Texas Legislature Passes Bill for a Later Primary. Ballot Access Will Be Affected. Now, I don't know how ballot access would be affected. Let's see. Okay, on August 26th, the Texas Legislature passed SB 13. It provides for a later 2022 primary in the event that redistricting isn't finished by November 15th. Current law says the primary will be on March 1st, 2022, but it is virtually certain that redistricting can't be finished in November 2021. Whatever plans pass the legislature, they will inevitably be challenged in court. If the redistricting, I don't know, I'm having such trouble with that word, isn't final by November 15th, but is final by November 28th, it's a mouthful, the primary will be in April. If it isn't finished by December 28th, the primary will be in May with a runoff in July. If this occurs, ballot access will need to be completely revised. Wow, check this out. Here's the impact. This is terrible. Texas law does not, and now this doesn't affect the LP, okay? These ballot access things aren't LP specific. This one just is bad for other people, but we should still be concerned about it just because it isn't bad for us. Texas law does not permit petitions for an independent candidate or a new party to circulate until after the primary. So can you imagine if the primary isn't until May with a runoff in July? I'm not sure which one they consider after the primary. Is it July or is it May? Either of those are awful late to get your petitions in order to meet the deadline to be on the November ballot. Okay, that's really rough. Next headline. Mayor of Buffalo expected to sue over petition deadline. On August 27th, the Erie County Board of Election Commissioners rejected the independent petition filed by the mayor of Buffalo, Byron Brown, because it was filed after the deadline. He wants to run for re-election, but he lost the June Democratic primary, so he then circulated a petition to be on the November ballot as a candidate of the Buffalo Party. His petition had 3,000 signatures, and the requirement is 750. He submitted the petition on the old August deadline. You want to know what? I have no sympathy for this man, and I'll tell you why. But in 2019, the New York legislature moved the deadline to May, which is unconstitutional under every precedent. Independent candidate petition deadlines cannot be more than a day or so earlier than the primary date, and the New York deadline is a month before the primary. Now, I have sympathy for him in that it's unconstitutional and all of that, but another part of me has schadenfreude over this because it's the Democrats that changed all these deadlines because of Larry Sharpe. Boo-hoo. Next headline. Idaho win for initiatives. And speaking of initiatives, I'm going to be working, hopefully, on a big petition to help better make it easier for Colorado initiatives, ballot initiatives. That's what's going to be taking up a lot of my attention for like the next probably 6 months, maybe. I don't know what our window is. I think it's 6 months. So, it's not like I want to win my appeal, but if I don't win my appeal, it's not going to be like I'm sitting on, my futon in my house, stuffing my face with Oreos and crying a river. I've got a lot of things to do, including running for town council. On August 23rd, the Idaho Supreme Court unanimously rejected 2 recent laws that handicapped the ability of people to use the statewide initiative. So many states are doing that, and it's like so gross. The decision strikes down a 2021 law. Texas doesn't have petition initiatives. Interesting. Okay, I'm just getting distracted. That required signatures of 6% of the registered voters in all 35 legislative districts in the state. We require that. Oh, not 6%, but we do in Colorado. It's really difficult in the rural areas because if you have to go door to door, the properties are miles apart. It's not like a dense urban area. Okay, continuing. The decision also strikes down a 2020 law that said no initiative can take effect until July 1st of the year following the election. The decision uses strict scrutiny and says that there is no compelling state interest in requiring signatures from all 35 legislative districts. Interesting, it doesn't say no compelling state interest in requiring such a high percentage. It says from requiring signatures at all. I'm wondering if this will help us in Colorado because it's difficult. Page 42 of the decision says, this power, the initiative, is meaningless unless it is accessible. Page 37 says, there is simply no logical reason why a ballot proposition supported by 6% of the voters in 34 of the 35 legislative districts has not clearly established that it has statewide support. The opinion also contains a history of the use of the statewide initiative throughout its existence and points out that even under the old law, very few initiatives qualified in any one election year. The decision held that one set of plaintiffs lacked standing, but another did have standing. Justice John Stegner wrote separately to say that he thought all plaintiffs had standing, and that standing is generally more relaxed under state constitutions than under the U.S. Constitution. Justice Robin Brody wrote separately to say that although she agrees with the holding, she would not have applied strict scrutiny, but rather a balancing test. These sorts of things should always be under strict scrutiny. Next, U.S. House passes bill to restore Voting Rights Act. On August 24th, the U.S. House passed H.R. 24, the John R. Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act of 2021. It would restore Sections 4 and 5 of the Act, which were declared unconstitutional in 2013 in Shelby County versus Holder. These are the parts of the law that say jurisdictions that have a history of injuring voting rights for racial minorities cannot change any voting law or procedure without asking for approval from the voting rights section of the U.S. Justice Department. The old pre-clearance law was struck down because it punished jurisdictions for events that had happened as long as 65 years ago. The bill changes that so that a jurisdiction only falls under pre-clearance if it has 15 or more violations in the previous 25 years, or 10 or more violations if one was at the state level. The Voting Rights Act has sometimes been used to block ballot access restrictions, but only when the restriction injured a racial minority. The act prevented Mississippi from increasing the statewide independent petition from 1,000 to 10,000 signatures in 1966 because it was clear that the change was meant to block an African American independent candidate for the U.S. Senate that year. It was also used to block Alabama from stiffening the definition of a qualified party in 1982 because the change would have removed an African American party, the National Democratic Party, from the ballot that year. Alabama was allowed to make the change, but not immediately. Listen, I am sympathetic to issues that affect racial minorities, but I think to say it's okay to increase ballot restrictions as long as you only hurt white people is not kosher. Everybody should have this kind of strict scrutiny, and then everybody would be protected. That's all I have to say about that. But in saying that, I don't want to remove the protections for the racial minorities. I just want everyone to have those protections. So I wouldn't oppose those protections. I would expand them, if that makes sense. Georgia U.S. House ballot access. As reported earlier, on March 29, 2021, U.S. District Court Judge Lee May struck down the Georgia 5% petition of the number of registered voters for ballot access for U.S. House for independent candidates and the nominees of parties that didn't poll 20% of the vote in the last election. So that absolutely helps the LP. She had then asked both sides to suggest what new requirements should be. How about none? But that's okay. Until the legislature fixes the law. The Libertarian Party suggested 500 signatures. The state objected to that idea. Of course it did, but didn't propose its own solution. On August 23rd, the judge tentatively suggested a petition of 1% of the registered voters, which would be 5,150 signatures in the average district in 2022. Why are you interfering, Judge? The state didn't suggest anything. The LP did. You should go with the LP suggested. Why are you interfering? That's not the role of the judge. I'm sure other people will disagree. Her order also said that the 1% should apply to petitions for the legislature and for partisan county office. That was a surprise because the complaint in the case only challenged the requirements for U.S. House, but no other district or county offices. Now this ends up benefiting us, but I'm going to object somewhat on principle, though I'll take the lower requirement, that I don't think judges have the right to just expand the scope. Like, what gave her the right to do that? Now, I'm glad because this is now lower, but, you know, getting the right result in the wrong way by winking at expansive judicial power doesn't make me well pleased. The existing law for those offices is also a petition of 5%. The existing petition for statewide office is $7,500. 7,500 signatures for president and 1% for other statewide offices, which is approximately 70,000 signatures. That is ridiculous. If the judge's tentative decision is finalized, Georgia will still have one of the nation's most severe petition laws in the nation for U.S. House. then why didn't she take what the Libertarian Party said? It was already, okay, it's like saying, like say you have $1,000 and something you desperately need, housing, medicine, whatever the fuck it might be, was $10 million out of your reach. And a judge kindly reduced the price to $1 million. Does that really make a difference? No. For example, as applied to the Libertarian Party in 2022, no Libertarian running for U.S. House in any other state except Alabama would require more than 5,000 signatures, because they require 70,000 in Georgia. Although in North Dakota, Ohio, and Tennessee, they would not have the party label. Furthermore, the Georgia Libertarian Party has already showed it has substantial voter support. It is always on the ballot for statewide office, and it always polls over 100,000 votes in some races with both a Republican and a Democrat, and always polls over 30% of the vote in statewide races with no Democrat running. This is a really long portion, but this is important, I think. The judge asked both sides to respond to her idea. I'll respond. It was by September 2nd. I hope you'll accept my late response, Judge. It sucks. She also said she would require the filing fee, which is over $5,000 for U.S. House. Really? One second. Our nation is fucked. %3 of the office's annual salary. So far, neither side has responded. Really? When was it stated? Well, I just gave you my response. Now I can't speak officially at all for the Libertarian Party. That's more true than you know right now. But this Libertarian says it sucks. Generally, when judges strike down the number of signatures in a ballot access case, they don't substitute a new requirement. Power mad status. Instead, they most often put the party or the candidate on the ballot with no petition. And then a bunch of examples are given that I'm not going to read because I just want to get to the substance of this thing. But if you want this, I can copy it and send it to you. In 2008, a U.S. District Court put the Libertarian Party on in Ohio with no need for a petition. Libertarian Party of Ohio versus Bruner. The basis for these decisions was evidence that the candidate or party had some voter support, as measured by polls or organizational strength, or sometimes by having attempted to petition. Even when courts have set new petition requirements to replace old void laws, they have usually set a very lower number of signatures. Why did she even bother to ask the LP what they thought if she wasn't going to take it? Connor says, do you recommend the petition route or the filing fee route if you had to choose? In Colorado, we have excellent ballot access laws, so we never have to choose, so that's not something I ever particularly thought of. But just knee-jerk reaction, I'd ask, do you have more time or do you have more money? If you have more time, do the petition route with volunteers. If you have more time and volunteers, and if you have more money, just do the filing fee route. Less pain, but more money. But I never really had to think of that because we don't have that issue in Colorado. Let me continue. For instance, in 2017, a U.S. District Court in Montana altered the number of signatures for U.S. House from 14,268 to 400. I did bury the lead, Justin. For special elections. In 2016, a U.S. District Court in Georgia set the presidential independent and minor party petition at 7,500 signatures, which was 1/10% of the registration. Judge May did not deal with the point that requiring a severe requirement. Does it bother you when you have the same word like requirement? Like, just bothers me. Sorry. for Libertarian nominees for U.S. House violates equal protection because the state does not require Libertarian nominees for statewide office to submit any petition. She wrote that the equal protection part of the case is moot when it clearly is not because it affects the nature of the relief. It is likely that the party will submit some of this information and other points to Judge May, and perhaps she will change her order to an easier procedure. Dream on. Next. So we are pretty much getting screwed in this issue. I didn't think the good news of last month would hold. Yes, $5,000 is the FEC minimum reporting requirement. Illinois U.S. House ballot access case. The oldest ballot access, I think he meant to say case still pending, in the trial court is the Illinois lawsuit against the 5% petition for independent candidates for U.S. House, Gill versus Scholes. It was filed in 2016 by independent candidate David Gill. On August 25, 2016, U.S. District Court Judge Sue Myerscough issued an injunction putting him on the ballot, but on September 9th, the Seventh Circuit stayed her decision, although it did not explain why. Court should not be able to do anything without explaining why. The order consisted of only one sentence. Then, while the case was still pending for declaratory relief before Judge Myerscough, another U.S. District Court in the Central District of Illinois, Colin Bruce, lost his pending criminal caseload because of an ethical lapse. The Chief Justice of the district then reassigned many civil cases to Judge Bruce to give him some work. Oh yeah, give the ethically compromised judge the civil cases. How about giving him no cases? Just saying. On August 24th, 2021, Judge Bruce recused himself from the case without explaining why. There's a lot of not explaining why in this story. So now the case will be assigned to another U.S. District Court judge. Possibly it will go back to Judge Myerscough. Kind of like us with the Taliban, right? We spent how many years? Never mind. Too soon. Oh, God. Utah initiative for top 5. I wish... Just stop it. Just stop it. All right. Tistic Ahsoka said... I live in Minnesota, which sucks. Is Colorado much better? I assume you're asking about ballot access. If you're referring about any other metric, I don't know. But for ballot access, Colorado has the best ballot access laws in the country. So yeah, it's much better. Alaska State Court, Utah Initiative for Top 5. Proponents of a Top 5 system in Utah, stop fucking around. Why Top 5? Just stop limiting people's choices. Have begun to circulate an initiative to implement that system. Like Top 2 in Washington State and Top 4 in Alaska, the initiative makes it more difficult for parties to remain qualified. In Utah, a party is a group that got 2% for any statewide race at either of the last two elections, but top anything deprives parties of party nominees, so that method won't work anymore except for president. I didn't even consider that. I wish I had discussed this when I had the guy on for top 2, though to be fair, I think he did the top 2 for Washington, which doesn't have this percentage for qualifying. You just have to get 1,000 signatures, which is really, really doable. Yeah, hit that button, y'all. Hit that button. Smash that button. Alaska State Court upholds top 4. I need to drink. No, Connor, let me put this up on the screen. I have not heard about this. Whoop, wrong thing. Yeah, that 2016 case is still pending, but this is what I meant to put up. Did you hear about SB1 in Texas opening the door to frivolous sore loser lawsuits every election and giving them special precedent? I have not. I will need to take a look at that. Thank you for grifting for me. Justin. Oh, and actually name unavailable did, which means they're on Facebook. If you want your name to not be unavailable. Wait, I didn't even think I was showing on Facebook because I'm on a Facebook 30-day ban. So I don't know why name's unavailable. It could be, no, you're on YouTube. I don't know why name's unavailable. Is that your name? Name unavailable? If so, that is fucking brilliant. If that's your name, that is brilliant and you win the internet. Continuing. Yeah, I see you're on YouTube, but I don't know why it says name unavailable. Again, unless that's your name. And where's Death? Death always shows up. Death is never here when you want him to be. Just like the frickin' cops. All right. Where am I at? Oh. Alaska State Court upholds top 4. Sucks. On July 29th, an Alaska State Trial Court upheld the top 4 initiative passed by the voters in 2020. Kohlhaas versus State. The only political party plaintiff in that case is the Alaskan Independence Party, which is Alaska's only ballot-qualified third party. The 20-page decision barely mentions the strongest precedent against the system, Green Party of Alaska versus State. In that case, the Alaska Supreme Court said that protection for freedom of association in the state constitution is so strong that if the Green Party and the Republican Moderate Party wanted to have a blanket primary, they could do that, even though the legislature had abolished the blanket primary. The same principle. And you want to know what? I need to have a show talking about the different kinds of primaries. There's closed primaries, semi-closed primaries, blanket primaries. Forgot all the rest of them. There's a lot of different kinds of primaries. And I think it would be interesting to discuss those because I don't think everyone understands that. Just like I really went through in detail RCB and how so many people understood it after that. I would like to do that with all these different kinds of primaries, jungle primary, so on and so forth. Ah, Dave Davis, Hex, Jinx. We both said it at the same time. Caucuses are not primaries. They're conventions, basically. They're state conventions. Alrighty. My birds are screaming. They're screaming over the sucky ballot access news. The same principle as applied to the Alaskan Independence Party in the top 4 case ought to mean that if the Alaskan Independence Party wants to have its own nominee on the general election ballot, it should be able to insist on that. Under the top 4 initiative, party labels are on the ballot, but parties don't have nominees. No one can be on the November ballot except the 4 candidates who got the most votes in the primary. Let me explain what that means, how there is a party label, but there's no nominees. In general, this might differ a little in Alaska, but in general, the parties have no say over who is bearing their name in a top 4, top 5 situation. So in a top 4 situation, you could have 10 people for one office saying they're the Libertarian Party. They're libertarians, basically. The party has no say in that. And that then dilutes the strength of the brand. And it's very easy for, say, a Republican to knock out potential libertarian challenges by just flooding the ballot with other libertarians. And this is why it sucks. If you had top X, top 4, top 5, whatever it might be, and RCV, that can remediate that somewhat. Not entirely. The plaintiffs in the top 4 case expect to appeal to the state Supreme Court. Meanwhile, proponents of the top 4 system are trying to persuade the court to order that the plaintiffs must pay attorney fees incurred by the interveners. California top 2 proponents did the same thing in California in 2012. Another thing that I want to cover is I'm exploring. You all know that I'm a huge RCV proponent, but I'm not an RCV cultist. I acknowledge its deficiencies. But I still absolutely, in single winner races, RCV is my thing. But I'm beginning to question whether RCV is the best system in multi-winner races. And even though I'm not a big fan of approval voting, in most circumstances, I might think approval voting is better in multi-winner races. And I'd like to explore that in a show. What do y'all think? Let me know. Don't tell the LNC I'm doing this show, by the way, because allegedly I only do dramatic shows because I'm a shameless grifter and I drive drama to make money. Just so you know, shh. But I made money this show and it wasn't very dramatic. Prove them wrong. Okie doke. Texas access bill. So we are back to Texas. On August 9th, 11 Texas Democratic state senators introduced SB 58. It makes ballot access easier. Hallelujah, something for once, right? It abolishes the laws that says voters who voted in a primary can't sign ballot access petitions for independents and new parties, which is the dumbest ass rule out there. And just FYI, why I don't have the problems with approval voting for multi-winner that I have for single winners, because you can't bullet vote in a multi-winner. It doesn't benefit your candidate or you at all to bullet vote. But in a single winner race, bullet voting just destroys approval voting every time and makes it unworkable. And people are going to be mad at me. In single winner races, I actually think approval voting is worse than first past the post in single winner races. Ohio Libertarians appeal case on exclusion from Election Commission. On August 13th, the Ohio Libertarian Party asked the U.S. Supreme Court to hear Libertarian Party of Ohio versus Kreitz. The Sixth Circuit had upheld the composition of the Ohio Elections Commission, which by law includes 3 members of each of the 2 largest parties and 1 person who is not a member of any party. Therefore, no member of a third party may ever serve, which is awful. You can't categorically exclude groups of people from serving. And no, Connor, unless I am super, super drunk on Fireball, at which case, apparently, I do multiple rounds of All About That Bass with Caitlin Cloven and then pass out on the stage. There are pictures, but there's no memory of it in my head. I wish I were kidding. Okay, there's some things in here that aren't ballot access, like talking about Canada 2021 election debates. So we're going to skip that. I'm going to describe to you the charts that are in here, because sometimes the charts are the best thing in ballot access news. But we'll get to the charts. Oh, if there are people who would pay to see that, let's start the bidding, because I am a shameless grifter. What country of Colorado? I think you meant county. Weld County, because they want to leave Colorado. They want to secede and join Wyoming. And I am all about that bass, baby. All right. Okay, Connor. You do not know this about me. Be prepared to be shocked. I used to be a bass player in a thrash/death metal band. No lie. A pretty popular one too, by the way, in local South Florida scene. All right, now that I've blown your mind on that one, well, let's see if we can find some video footage. Progressive Party wins City Council special election. On August 17th, Burlington, Vermont held a special election to fill the vacancy on the City Council. Ward 3, Progressive Party nominee Joe McGee won with 47.1%. An independent endorsed by the Democratic Party received 39.4%, and the Republican received 13.5%. The Progressive Party had won the previous election for the same office in Ward 3. These are all just nominees and stuff. I only want to deal with ballot access. But here's something that's important. I'm not dealing with most of this. But there is one thing here. Virginia, check this out. Virginia uses same ballot label for Libertarian Party and Liberation Party. How? What? Huh? Let's see how this goes. I certainly was. My base said one evil bitch on it, and I think the current LNC would agree. No shit. I had, okay, my base, if you remember Quiet Riot from the day, some of you who are too young will not. Rudy Sarzo was in Quiet Riot, and he had this badass, crap, what was the brand name? What was the brand name? Crap. I'm getting old. But he had this badass, it was almost like a BJ Rich shaped base, okay? But hello, Julian. And it had a starburst pattern on it, which I fucking hated. But I bought the base because the base was badass. It was a Washburn. Okay, it was badass. But I hated that starburst pattern, so I covered it with black duct tape and then wrote one evil bitch on it. Just so you know. The LNC will now start calling me that. Virginia elects its statewide officers and the lower house of its legislature on November 2nd, 2021. The Liberation Party is on the ballot for governor. The Libertarian Party is on the ballot for several legislative races. The Virginia State Board of Elections only prints a single letter on general election ballots to identify party nominees, except that for the presidential part of the ballot, the full party names are printed. This year, the board is using L for both the Liberation Party and the Libertarian Party. That is messed up. The only other state that uses just a single letter to identify parties on the ballots is Hawaii. However, Hawaii printed RF for Reform Party nominees and R for Republican nominees. Well, of course it did, because the Republicans or the Democrats were implicated. Back when the Republican and Reform parties were both on in Virginia and the 1997 gubernatorial election, Virginia did not print any party labels on the ballot except for president, so the issue didn't arise in Virginia in 1997. But since we're talking about band stuff, we're done with this. Oh no, let me talk about the charts. And then those of you who want to hear some of my, if you want to see something super cool, just hang out. If you're into like indie band stuff. Now listen, when I was young, a lot of that band stuff was super, super embarrassing, okay? This is the time where it was cool to pretend like you were all into the devil and shit, you know? So, come on, a lot was really embarrassing, but it's still kind of fun, right? You know? The excesses of youth, as it were. And I've done a lot in my life. Most people are surprised. There's probably very little you can sell. We have Doc Sexy here, so...
Chicka wow wow.
Alrighty. Gonna do the charts, then we'll do the trivia. But like, a lot of people think like I make shit up because they'll mention some kind of subject and I'm like, oh, I did that. You know, it's like, oh, books. Oh yeah, I wrote a book. You know, I've been a talk show radio host. Like, I showed horses for years. Like, I've done a lot of shit in my life. I like a lot of different things. All right, first chart. Most crowded general election ballot for U.S. House. And it has the state and district, the number of candidates, the year, and the requirement. I just got in a royalty check today for my book, by the way. I still get them regularly. They're not big. I think the one today was was $34 and something cents, but hell, once a quarter getting a $34 check, it ain't bad. You know, it's trickled down. The book's been out for a while. I make about $100 a year on it now. Okay, so the most crowded one is 12, which was in the 3rd District of Louisiana in 2016. Okay? And the ballot requirement was to pay $600 filing fee. And then the next chart, with this is super helpful. 2022 petitioning for statewide office. So it gives you the state, the requirements, and the deadlines. Super, super, let me put this up. You can kind of see. Hold on, let me get it to focus. Super, super helpful. If any of you just want that, email me and I'll like photograph it and send it to you. All right, now let's get to the trivia, shall we? The embarrassing trivia of the excesses of my youth. This is all before I was 21, I think. I got married to my first husband, who ended up being a cop. He didn't like, that sounded weird. It sounded like I married him, and then I found out he was a cop. Oops. No, later, after we were married, he went to the police academy and became an officer. Oh, that's funny. I love you. Good Thinkful Duck Speaker. That's quite a mouthful. There you go. Hope those balls of steel aren't weighing you down too much. A little. Oh, God. So let me find something super cool for you guys. I want to show you one of my accomplishments, if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it first. Just give me a moment. Because I'm not sure what the Google search should be for this. Let me find this. Why am I not finding it? Interesting. Maybe I'm not in it anymore, but I'll let you know. I am looking here. I'm going to do a search. Because, you know, internet content changes. So, yeah, here we are. Okay, I'm going to share this. Now, I'll let you know, way before the pansy-ass band named Paramore came out, that was the name of my band. We weren't the pansy-ass one. They came out years later, okay, just so you know. So, I wanted to show you this. My band is in the Encyclopedia Metalum. So, I might be the first person that's the first libertarian, I don't know. All I can say is I've got an entry in the Encyclopedia Metalum and Wikipedia. Wikipedia for secretary and Encyclopedia Metalum for my band. And let's see if there's a picture here. I think there was. Members. You'll see it's my old name, my old metal name. Yep, you see one of Evil Bitch, Dos Santos. Dos Santos was my former married name. Let me see. I thought there was a picture. Reviews, discography. Here we go. Is there a picture on the back of this? Look at this old artwork. This is like so fucking, like, no. I thought the picture that was on the back was on here. Does it say photo? Here's a review. Holy shitballs. That's a great review. Holy shitballs. But I thought there was a picture of us on here. But Death Rider Down in 2010 said, holy shitballs. And we had already been broken up since, we broke up in 89. Okay? So somebody still thought we were holy shitballs 21 years after we broke up. Okay, but I thought for sure there was a picture. Additional notes. I think in the additional notes. No? I thought it mentioned, like, I could be thinking of a different entry. There was a picture at one point. And the picture I just wanted to tell you a funny story of, because the singer at the time wore the most, like, feminine jeans. Like, there was these flower print jeans. We were like, no fucking way. I had to cut off that picture to keep those nasty jeans. And the way he wore them looked like he had a seed of dookie coming out the bottom. So, yeah. I thought that would be funny. But so, just wanted to let you know, I have achieved being in the Encyclopedia Metalum. But again, this band disbanded in 1989. So a long-ass time ago. There? Where? Where's the picture? I don't see it. Hold on, let me look again. Am I missing something? It should be a picture of the whole band. I'll look again. Demo, cassette. Songs, lineup. Oh, is it in there? Oh, here. Oh my God, that's not me. Is that me? That's not me. That picture, is that me? No, that's the guitar player. That picture is not me. That picture is our guitar player. I mean, look at the picture. That's not a bass. Just look at it. I know I might have looked like one of our guitar players. You all look at it and tell me. I don't think that's me. I never wore, no, I've never had that shirt. That's a King Diamond shirt. I never had a King Diamond shirt. And I never had my bass slung that low. I was one of those bass players that wore it very high. But here, I'll show you. No, this isn't me. This is our guitar, one of our guitar players. This is the picture they say is me. That's not me. I know it kind of looks like me because I had red hair at the time and super skinny, but that's slung way too low. And if you look at the finger position there, that's a guitar finger position. You don't have chords on a bass, and this person is playing a chord. And I never had a King Diamond shirt. That's not me. I think that's Donnie Carr, actually. It's with a U. Because if you all notice that I spell everything with a U, like neighbor and honor, yeah, I did that even back then. So that is not me, though it's pretty damn close. I guess our guitar player looked like a girl, but that is definitely not me. And is that the only one that has a picture there? Well, I didn't play chords on the bass, so that wasn't me. Don Carr has a picture. No, it doesn't. I think that's Don Carr, who's still in bands to this day. He's the only one who actually made a career out of it. So no, that's not me. But there, on the back of this cassette, there's a photo, and I thought, oh wait, does it go on the back? No. Nope. No idea. There used to be a picture there. So can't help you there, but that picture they say is me, is dude. It's a dude, not me. I wish I had that King Diamond shirt. Never had a King Diamond shirt. I think I had a Merciful Fate shirt once, but I don't think I ever had a King Diamond shirt. But let me look up something else to see if I can find for you guys. But maybe not. Just give me a second. Because when you look it up, you look up the band, we broke up a long time ago, but all of that sucky ass pansy band without the U in it comes up. No matter what you do, that comes up. They came out long after us. And I'm not saying we were even that great of a band. I mean, for a local group, we were okay. But, nah, I'm not finding anything else that's worthwhile. I mean, some of the songs are on YouTube, but not videos. Yeah, Tyler. We were like, it was sick, twisted. You know, that's the shit, like, that was popular then. It was just like gore shit, you know? I mean, I've got band pictures, but I thought some were up here. But some of the songs are up here. They kind of suck because we lost our good singer. And the singer that we had for the it didn't. I did that and it didn't. The singer that we had for the demo, he's the dude who wore the flower pants that looked like he did a dookie, okay? The good singer that we had, we never recorded a demo with. He ended up, that was Terry Allen, those of you who know anything about 1989 Paramore. He passed away, I think 8 years ago in his sleep. Yeah, pretty sad. So, nope, I thought I had, one second here. I want to look up one other thing, but that might be all I can show you guys. But I think it's so funny that the picture they said is me is a dude. But this, I can see why they thought that was me. I had red hair about that length and wore bangs like that to cover over a mohawk for when I worked. So that I can understand why they thought that was me. But that definitely isn't me. But I might have a video on private on a different YouTube account. That's what I'm looking at now. No, I don't. I thought I might. I don't know why I thought I might. Let me check one other thing. But I think that's it. That's too bad. Let me check one other account. I've got a lot of YouTube accounts. Most of them don't have videos. But I've got some videos. I've got some videotape, like videotapes. Well, they are videotapes, but I got some videotapes that were converted to CD that maybe one day we can have fun with and watch. If you guys would like that, if you think that would be fun, I wouldn't, that'd be, interesting. Again, it's so long ago now that I could laugh at it for a while. Like, I wouldn't talk about that time of my life because it truly, truly is embarrassing. I mean, the thing back then, like, it was all like you thought you were so badass talking about the devil and talking about death and blood and gore, Stupid, right? But you're a kid. I'm glad there wasn't like, hey, maybe that isn't too long ago to cancel me, right? I am so glad I didn't have the internet at that age because, oh my God, I'm glad that you can only find selected things of my life from that time. But you want to know what I am going to find to show you one day? Maybe tomorrow. There is an article of me in high school. Like, I was a fucking little activist back then too. And I was a firebrand then too. And you could tell by the picture. You will laugh because the expression on my maybe 16, 17-year-old face, you'll be like, oh my God, I've seen that face at convention. I'm on the mic giving fucking hell to school board officials because they wanted to shorten the lunch hour. And I'm like, you'll go, I know that face. And I am like, the way I'm dressed is just like completely embarrassing. So you could tell I was always very unusual. I'm like loaded. I have this jean. I remember this day like nothing. I had this jean jacket on that was loaded with band buttons and like that bullet, they probably won't let you wear this to school now. They're empty bullets, but it was that like army empty cartridge belt, and all kinds of spikes and a headband with skulls on it. How fucking embarrassing. But I was 17 or 16, so give me a break. But you can tell by the expression on my face exactly how I sounded. It's funny. I'll dig that out of newspapers.com because I found it one time. And you'll laugh. Maybe tomorrow. Remind me if not, because this stuff's funny. All right. And maybe I'll dig out some band footage. Why not? We could have a good time. Maybe we'll do it like on a story time. I think that would be fun. Drinking story time and stuff. But that's it for tonight. I need to go finish working on my appeal. I still haven't updated my patron video. If you have been a patron that just subscribed, or I've had a couple up their amount, thank you. I haven't yet switched around this because I've just been so busy with the appeal. So I hope you do forgive me. And you can save me from having to edit. Here I am. Look, check out this segue. Come on, you got to reward me just for this segue. Because this segue is...
Chicka wow wow.
Okay. If you are thinking of becoming a patron, you can save me the work of having to edit my patron closing twice by doing it now before I have to edit it for the changes that have already been made. What a segue. Crap, there's something else I wanted to say and I can't remember what it was. Oh, and thank you, Mr. Duck Speaker. I am going to be adding crypto wallet thingy, whatever the fuck, I'm such a boomer, in the low bar because some people have expressed that they would like to send me tips via crypto. And I will always accept crypto. So I'm going to stick that in the low bar. It'll then become a permanent part of the show notes if those of you would like to help out the show in that way. Have a good night, everyone. And wish me luck on this appeal. I need it. Bye-bye.
given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business.